Welcome, everyone. In today's explainer, we are diving deep into the world of agile testing. Think of this as a masterclass, really. We're going to use the official ISTQB, Agile Tester Syllabus, as our guide to build a super strong foundation, whether you're an engineer, a tester, or even a product owner.
So why is this so critical right now? Well, just look at this number. Over 125,000 professionals have downloaded the ISTQB Agile Tester Syllabus. This is not just some passing trend, folks. It's a massive signal that the entire industry is changing how it thinks about software quality.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll kick off with the core methods, then we'll jump into risk analysis, see how these techniques actually work in the real world, and finally, we'll check out the tools that make it all happen for Agile teams.
All right, first up, agile testing methods. And let me tell you, the biggest thing to grasp here is the shift in mindset. It's not about just testing faster. It's about completely rethinking our relationship with quality.
You can see the difference so clearly here. In the old, traditional world, you had this responsibility handover. You know the drill. Developers build something, then they kind of just throw it over the wall to the testers. In Agile, poof, that wall is gone. Quality becomes the shared responsibility for the entire team right from day one.
And a fantastic way to visualize this new structure is the test pyramid. This is our guide for automation. The foundation, the biggest part, is a huge number of super fast, reliable unit tests. Then, in the middle, we have a smaller number of integration tests. And way up at the tiny top, just a handful of those slow, sometimes flaky UI tests. The whole point of this structure is to get the fastest possible feedback when something breaks. This whole collaborative vibe is perfectly captured by methods like behavior-driven development, or BDD. It uses this really simple, plain English, given, when, then format. Now, why is this so powerful? It's because it lets everyone, the business folks, the developers, the testers, get in a room and agree on exactly how the system should behave before a single line of code is ever written. It's a game changer.
So, we've got these awesome methods to define behavior. But let's be real, in any given sprint, you can't test everything with the same intensity. It's just not possible. And that brings us to risk analysis, which is really the art of figuring out where to focus our limited time to get the biggest bang for our buck.
And here's the thing. Risk-based testing isn't just a good idea. It's economically smart. You can see it in this chart. The more you test, sure, the lower your cost of failures, but you hit a point where you're spending more on testing than you're saving. The goal is to find that sweet spot, that optimal point right in the middle where the total cost is as low as it can be.
So how do we find that sweet spot? Well, one really cool collaborative way is a technique called risk poker. It's basically a game where the whole team talks about a user story, and then everyone privately votes on its potential impact and the probability of it failing. And honestly, the magic happens when the scores are different, because the discussion that follows uncovers all these hidden assumptions and builds this incredible shared understanding of risk.
All right, so we have the right mindset, and we've got a strategy for tackling risk. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How do we actually go from a high-level idea, a user story, to a set of real, concrete tests?
Well, it all starts with the user story, which, and this is key, is not a detailed spec sheet. It's an invitation to a discussion. We call it the 3 C's. The card is just the prompt. The conversation is where the magic happens, where we hash out all the details. And the confirmation, that's the set of acceptance criteria that prove the story is actually done.
Let's make this real with an example. Here's our card. It's a perfectly clear user goal, right? But it's also packed with questions. How's scrolling supposed to work? What happens if there are 0 transactions? How fast does it need to be?
And that's where the conversation and confirmation come in. After talking it through, we end up with these specific, testable acceptance criteria. And look how comprehensive they are. We've covered the happy path, negative cases, performance, even non-functional stuff like UI standards and browser support. This makes the original story completely unambiguous.
So once we have these crystal clear criteria, now testers can bring out their superpowers, formal techniques. They use methods like equivalence partitioning to group similar inputs and boundary value analysis to test right at the edges of those groups. This lets us design a really efficient set of tests that find the bugs that love to hide in those tricky edge cases.
Okay, last section. Because let's face it, all of this speed and collaboration doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's all powered by the technology and the tools that are the absolute backbone of a high-performing Agile team.
Agile testing really runs on this whole ecosystem of tools working together. It's not just one thing. You've got your task management tools for visibility, your communication tools to keep everyone in sync, and of course, the big one, the continuous integration pipeline that automates the whole process of building, testing, and deploying code.
And if you zoom in on any of those categories, you'll find specific tools for every job imaginable. Devs are using XUnit frameworks for unit tests. Automation engineers are using tools like Selenium to drive web browsers. The whole team might be using mind mapping tools to brainstorm exploratory testing ideas. Having the right tool for the job is absolutely essential.
So look, if you take only one thing away from our time together today, please let it be this. This is the big one. The single most profound shift in Agile is that quality stops being one person's job. It's not the tester's problem. It becomes a shared, whole team responsibility, baked in from the very, very beginning.
And that brings me to a final question, a thought for you to take back to your own team. What's one small change, one tiny step you can introduce tomorrow to start breaking down those silos and really, truly start sharing the responsibility for quality? Thanks for watching.